Hey everyone, today I'm going through some practice questions related to ethics for the ASWB LCSW exam. So this is for future licensed clinical social workers. If you're new here and you don't want to miss out on future study vlogs, hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when I post more content just like this. If you're serious about passing your exam, I have an affiliate link in the bio. Here's a copy of it here. Although I would be recommending this product anyways, I do have to disclose that since this is an affiliate link, I make a small commission when you purchase through my link. It doesn't change the price for you at all, but if you're thinking about purchasing this product anyways, it's a great way for you to support the channel. And I'm always happy to tell more people about Exam Edge. They make it way easier to pass your licensure exam. A social worker in private practice begins receiving frequent text messages from a long-term client outside of scheduled session times. The messages are not emergencies, but often include emotional disclosures and requests for advice. The social worker is starting to feel overwhelmed and unsure how to maintain boundaries. What is the most appropriate course of action? A. Reply to the messages briefly, but continue allowing the contact. B. Immediately terminate the client for violating boundaries. C. Discuss communication boundaries with the client during the next session. Or D. Ignoring the messages unless they become a crisis. And the answer is C. Discuss communication boundaries with the client during the next session. Maintaining clear professional boundaries is an ethical responsibility. The social worker should address the behavior directly and collaboratively with the client by clarifying the purpose and limitations of communication between sessions. This supports both ethical practice and the therapeutic relationship. A 16-year-old client tells a school social worker during a counseling session that they are sexually active but do not want their parents to know. The client is not reporting abuse and denies any risk of harm to self or others. What is the most appropriate response by the social worker? A. Inform the parents immediately, as the client is a minor. B. Respect the client's confidentiality and continue the session. C. Encourage the client to disclose this information to a parent or guardian. Or D. Discharge the client due to potential legal concerns. And the answer is B. Respect the client's confidentiality and continue the session. Social workers are ethically obligated to respect the confidentiality of minor clients to the extent allowed by law. Since there is no report of abuse or imminent harm, the social worker should maintain confidentiality while continuing to support and educate the client. Encouraging disclosure, option C, may be helpful but is not required or the most appropriate immediate action. A social worker begins providing teletherapy services to a new client. The client is eager to start, but seems unfamiliar with how virtual sessions work and has not reviewed the practice's consent forms. What should the social worker do first before proceeding with treatment? A. Begin the session to build rapport and address consent later. B. Email the consent forms and ask the client to sign them after the session. C. Review the informed consent process, including limits of confidentiality, with the client before beginning treatment. Or D. Ask the client to sign a waiver allowing sessions without formal consent. And the answer is C. Review the informed consent process, including limits of confidentiality, with the client before beginning treatment. Ethically and legally, informed consent must be obtained before providing services. This includes discussing the nature of the services, risks, benefits, client rights, confidentiality, and how telehealth services will be conducted. Proceeding without consent undermines ethical practice and client autonomy. During a therapy session, an adult client tells a social worker, "Sometimes I fantasize about hurting my ex, but I'd never actually do anything." When the social worker asks for more details, the client describes a specific plan to confront the ex-partner at their workplace later in the week with a weapon. What is the social worker's most appropriate next action? A. Explore the client's feelings further in the session. B. Maintain confidentiality because no harm has yet occurred. C. Warn the ex-partner directly about the potential threat. Or D. Contact authorities and take steps to warn the intended victim. And the answer is D. Contact authorities and take steps to warn the intended victim. The duty to warn and protect arises when a client makes a specific and credible threat against an identifiable person. In this case, the client has described a clear plan involving potential violence. The social worker must break confidentiality to protect the potential victim and contact law enforcement in accordance with legal and ethical guidelines. A social worker has been seeing a client for 6 months for anxiety and relationship issues. The client recently invited the social worker to attend their small business launch party, saying, "You've helped me get to this point. I'd really like you to be there." What is the most appropriate response? A. Attend briefly to show support and maintain rapport. B. Decline the invitation and explain the importance of maintaining professional boundaries. C. Accept the invitation but avoid interacting with the client directly at the event. Or D. Ask the client if other professionals will be attending before making a decision. And the answer is B. Decline the invitation and explain the importance of maintaining professional boundaries. While the client's invitation may seem harmless, attending a personal event risks blurring professional boundaries and potentially impacting the therapeutic relationship. The social worker must maintain clear ethical boundaries and use the situation as an opportunity to reinforce professional roles. A social worker in private practice begins receiving frequent messages from a client through social media. The client shares personal updates and expresses a desire to be friends outside of therapy. The social worker has not yet addressed electronic communication boundaries in their informed consent. What is the most ethical next step? A. Ignore the messages and bring it up only if the client mentions it in session. B. Respond briefly to acknowledge the messages, but discourage future contact. C. Discuss boundaries and update the informed consent to include policies on digital communication. Or D. Block the client from all social media platforms immediately. And the answer is C. Discuss boundaries and update the informed consent to include policies on digital communication. Ethical practice requires clear boundaries and transparency, especially around newer areas like electronic communication. The social worker should address the issue directly, respectfully, and professionally, while ensuring that informed consent reflects current practice policies and protects the therapeutic relationship. If you're serious about passing your exam and becoming a licensed clinical social worker, check out the resources in my bio. As you'll see, I have affiliate links, which means that I make a small commission when you make a purchase through that link. It doesn't make it any more expensive for you, but it's a way for you to support my channel if you're going to be buying those resources anyways. Thank you so much for watching through the end. Please like this video if you found it helpful, and let me know in the comments how you did on these questions. Don't forget to subscribe to Becoming a Therapist so you don't miss out on future study vlogs just like this. I wish you well on your journey towards becoming a therapist.